All righty, we'll call this meeting of the ARC to order. Can we go ahead and take roll call?
Committee Member Hunter,
Present.
Vice Chair Ostovar,
Here.
Chair Pauly,
Here.
Committee Member Palmer,
Here.
and staff present today are Planning Manager Hill, Principal Planner Sabdo, Principal Planner Roveri, and myself, Recording Secretary Argenbright. Let's see. Information on participating in this meeting and providing public comment, including remotely by Zoom or telephone, is on this meeting's agenda, which is online at monterey.gov/agendas. Remote commenters will be muted until it is their turn to speak, and a timer will be shown on the screen. If you are connected on Zoom, the timer is accurate with no delay. In the chamber, we recommend keeping phones and devices muted to prevent audio interference with the meeting. Thank you for participating in your city government.
All right, with that, we'll go ahead and open the consent agenda. I believe we have one item on the consent agenda. Well, we got to do the minutes too.
Yeah, it'll actually be two items, the minutes and then also the project at 104 Tide Avenue that you received a presentation on at the last meeting.
Yeah.
I have a question. Since it's on the consent agenda, we didn't vote on it or anything like that.
Sure. So we'll require a motion and a vote tonight, just like, and you can do that with the entire consent agenda if the committee all agrees and wants to leave everything on consent. So you would vote on the consent agenda as one, with the minutes being one of those items, and the 104 Tide Avenue project as the other item on that. We will have to still take public comment or open it up for public comment. And of course, if there's any deliberation amongst the committee, that can happen as well before the vote.
Yep, thanks.
So we'd probably just go with staff recommendation on the consent agenda.
I think carries.
All right.
So probably can open it up for public comment on the.
Oh, we're right into that. Okay. Do we have any public comments? Are we doing it for both consent agenda items at
That's
once?
correct.
Okay.
We'll do the
Okay. So
whole
we have two items on the consent agenda, both the minutes and the Tide Avenue, which had its presentation cut short by our power outage at the last meeting. Is there any member of the public that would like to speak on either of these items?
There are no attendees online with their hands raised.
All right. Do we need two separate motions or?
You can make one motion to approve the consent agenda as a whole.
Okay.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So the motion carries. Both items are approved. And this item can be appealed, correct? Consent agenda?
Can be. Yes, it is appealable to the Planning Commission within 10 days of this action. Forms are available in the planning office and online.
All right. So that concludes the consent agenda. Are there any general public comments? Anyone online?
There are still no attendees online with their hands raised.
Okay. So with that, we'll go ahead and move on to our first public appearance. 2 Upper Ragsdale sign permit application. Presentation from staff?
Yeah, so we don't have a formal presentation prepared for this one. After noticing this item, it was discovered that there was some additional analysis needed to confirm the calculations that were done for the actual signage being proposed. So staff's recommending a continuation of this item to the June 18th, 2025 Architectural Review Committee meeting.
Okay.
This will also still require public comment and a vote.
Okay. So that doesn't need a motion for continuance, correct?
It will.
Oh,
And we'll have to open it up for public comment as well.
okay. Is there any member of the public that would like to comment on the continuation of this project?
There are no attendees online with their hands raised.
All right. You have a motion?
Yeah, I'll move to continue this item to June 18th ARC meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. The motion for continuance carries. We'll move on to the next item. on our public appearances, and this is consideration of 60 Garden Court. Staff have a presentation?
We do. Thank you. Okay, thank you. As the chair mentioned, this next item is the review for architectural review permit for a multifamily conversion project at 60 Garden Court. And the staff recommendation is to adopt a resolution approving ARP 240211 and AR2 240266, or I'm sorry, I think that's 0261 for architectural review and tree removal for a multiple phase conversion of an existing commercial office building into 70 apartments with conditions of approval. So this slide shows the site, which is located at 60 Garden Court, south of Garden Road. The image on your left here shows the vicinity map with a star marking location. I think most people are probably familiar with the Garden Road area, just near the airport and just in between Garden Road and Highway 68. This particular project site is nestled at the end of Garden Court, which is a smaller street there. Subject lot is a 2.02 acre lot and currently is developed with a 3-story, 51,624 square foot office building that is vacant. So a little bit of background. In June of 2019, the City Council approved Ordinance 3594 and 3608, which amended the Monterey City Code to create a multifamily overlay district on the south side of Garden Road. As most of you are aware, in the 6th cycle housing element, there was a housing action plan program 1B, that proposed to increase the allowed density in the multifamily residential overlay district, as well as expand the multifamily overlay district to other portions of the city. And then also increase that density to 60 dwelling units per acre, and created those 3 different sub areas within the multifamily overlay district. And then on December 17th, the council adopted an ordinance 3688, which actually implemented that program and made those changes. And in October of 2024, applicant Paul Davis Partnership applied for an architectural review permit and a tree removal permit to convert the existing commercial building at 60 Garden Court into 70 studio apartments. It's proposed as a multiple phase project consisting of phase 1 with 47 units and phase 2 with 23 units. And it's being phased out due to the water allocation that's currently present for the site and the future anticipated water allocation. So that's why only 47 units are being proposed at this time, because that's the amount of water that's available currently. I'm just going to hide this. So as noted earlier, the proposed project is for a conversion into 70 studio apartments, also includes exterior modifications consisting of facade and material changes, window opening and material changes, a new waste enclosure, a reconstructed curb cut with new sidewalks along the property frontage, and 3 pine tree removals with 6 oak tree replacements. And this slide shows that in a little bit more detail. As noted on the northern portion of the site, you see the new waste enclosure that's there highlighted in red. And then also to the left of the slide, you'll see the new reconstructed curb cut with the addition of sidewalks there along the short property frontage. Also noted on this slide, shaded in green, is the proposed locations for the replacement trees. And then in that other area near the building, where it's a little bit crowded there, is actually where the 3 pine trees are being removed. So as noted earlier, there's some exterior modifications proposed with this project to the existing building. And this slide shows, have a series of slides here that show the proposed elevations and the existing elevations. So as noted here on the south elevation, a lot of changes to the existing window openings to be replaced with sliding doors and balconies and ground level decks, also with glass railing. And then, of course, the materials changes on the exterior facade, going from a cedar wood material to a hardy plank siding material. This slide shows the existing and east elevation, and then again, materials changes to the east elevation, and then also the changes in window openings with the respacing and configuration and enlarging of windows. And then you also can see on this elevation the balconies on each side. So again, on the north elevation, similar changes with the addition as here you see it's more of a two-story elevation on this side with, and you'll note the change in material along those ground level decks from a glass railing to a wood fence. And that is to prevent headlight glare where it's adjacent to the parking lot on that ground level. And then, of course, the west elevation, very similar, changes with window openings and exterior materials. And this slide has a little bit of more information on the proposed materials and colors. As noted earlier, it's a hardy plank lap siding that's being replacing the cedar mill, or I'm sorry, it's in a cedar mill colors, replacing the cedar siding. And then also the cobblestone color as well. And then the window and door trim materials and the wall sconces. So getting to the affordability requirement, the project will comply with the city's inclusionary ordinance, which requires 20% affordable units. That's going to be phased out along with phase 1s and phase 2 proportionately, with 9 affordable units being provided in phase 1 and the additional 5 units being provided for phase 2. The affordable units will be split between moderate and low income affordability levels as required by the ordinance. So jumping into the findings for architectural review permit, the proposed siding, form, and mass and architectural style are appropriate for the project site. Staff believes this finding can be made as the proposed siding is not changing. It's an existing building and minimal exterior site improvements are being proposed. Small additions such as balconies and waste enclosure structure are added for site amenities. And these additions and new structures meet all the development standards, including height, setbacks, and lot coverage. Balconies will provide open space for each unit and appear appropriate for the project site. And then, of course, it will maintain the overall building massing and will not be readily visible from Highway 68. And then whether or not finding 2, the proposed project will not unreasonably impair the views, privacy, or living environment currently enjoyed by other properties in the vicinity. Staff believes this finding can be made as well. Staff did not identify any view, privacy, or living environment impacts. The proposal involves the conversion of an existing building into new residential units. The existing building setback is 55 feet from Garden Court and will be maintained. And the building changes would be generally unnoticed by people passing by. And of course, the site is largely screened from Highway 68 due to variations in topography on the adjacent parcel that separates the site from Highway 68, which is a state designated scenic highway. And finding 3 is the project is substantially consistent with the Monterey General Plan, as well as any applicable or adopted area or neighborhood plans, design guidelines, or similar documents. The proposed project is consistent with the general plan, land use element, housing element, and zoning ordinance, and that the residential uses are permitted under the employment land use designation, and of course are supported by the multifamily residential overlay district. Proposal is within the allowed density of 60 dwelling units per acre and supports the implementation of Housing Action Plan Program 1B. The proposal meets the objective development standards established for the MF1 overlay area and will support the city's goal to provide incentives for affordable housing. And then finding 4 is that the proposed finish, colors, materials, landscaping, lighting, fencing, and all other exterior features are appropriate for the project site in the immediate area and the city. Staff believes this finding can be made. The proposed finish, colors, materials, landscaping, lighting, fencing, and exterior features are appropriate for the project site. The proposed materials are of high quality and will withstand the Monterey's temperate climate. It's hardy plank lap siding, vinyl windows, wood glass railings, and fencing. The proposed neutral color tones blend with the forested environment surrounding the properties along Garden Road, and the open space and landscaping areas create passive recreational opportunities. And continuation of that, that finding 4, The buildings and grounds will be well lit with pedestrian level lighting consistent with crime prevention through environmental design goals. The proposed railings and fencing, or glass and wood, will reduce the perceived massing on upper floors while reducing headlight glare for ground floor units adjacent to the parking lot. The trash enclosure is proposed to be of a similar design and materials as the primary building, which is appropriate for the site. And with that, staff recommends that the ARC adopt a resolution approving ARP 240211 and ART 240261 for architectural review of a multiple phase conversion of one existing commercial building into 70 studio apartments at 60 Garden Court with conditions of approval. That concludes staff's presentation. We're happy to answer any questions. Also, the applicant is present as well.
Levi, can I just ask a really basic scope question here?
Yeah,
So the two phases are for the single building at 60 Garden Court, correct?
that's correct. As I understand it, and the applicant can probably speak in more specificity, and we clarified this with the applicant in the processing of this review, is that it can be completed as phase one, and it's separated within levels, so that at the time that water becomes available, they can move into a separate level of the building to complete construction.
Okay. Sheet A 1.2 shows parcel A, parcel 1, and parcel 2, or parcel A, B, and C. So we're just looking at parcel A from that sheet, if I'm reading that correctly.
Yes.
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 Okay.
Didn't speak into the mic, sorry.
And this is coming to us. What are the reasons? 'Cause in some ways, I would assume that it might not.
Exterior modifications through the building and site improvements as well.
Was the parking, is it just staying the same? Is there?
Parking is staying the same. The required parking on the MF1 multifamily overlay is 0.5 spaces per unit. What the exact amount? And there's 116 spaces that are existing and remain provided.
And I forgot to look at this when I was reviewing the plans. Are they all efficiency units?
They're all studio units.
Studio. And I noticed the new trees and things like that, but I didn't see any obvious sort of site amenities for the residents.
Yes, so the MF1 overlay requires a certain amount of shared open space requirements. However, the applicant's utilizing a density bonus concession to waive that requirement. So that's why it's not noted and that as an inconsistency, or it's noted in the consistency table as a concession rather than an inconsistency. And then they are meeting the requirement for the private open space requirement with the balconies.
Thank you.
Sure.
And I thought I heard you say 6 oak trees, but in the report says 12.
Yes, I think that and the applicant may be able to speak to that, but I was going off of what was noted on the title sheet of the plan, but upon counting on the plan, 6 were identified. So, which does meet our replacement requirement of 2 to 1. So it's consistent with the requirement for replacement, but and maybe the applicant can help me find the other 6 or correct that notation on the plan.
And I just had one question about color, because it's going from the cedar to some aged pewter. Is that more like a gray? I noticed when I printed my paper, it looks more like a brownish color, as opposed to the one that was shown on the screen. I was just okay.
Yeah, sometimes the screen does a little bit of a weird thing with coloration, but yes.
Printer did a little weird thing there too.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's just gonna be a little more muted industrial kind of look.
Yeah, it's sort of a nice earth tone.
Yeah, I think
Foresty
the
look.
window and door trim color is noted on the material sheet as amazing gray, and the exterior wall is noted as the color is cobblestone. And then you're correct, the other darker color is aged pewter.
Thank you.
Sure.
Can I have a follow-up on that open space waiver? What is the intent of that waiver? Is that to encourage more multifamily? What's the reason?
So yeah, so that comes from that allowance comes from state density bonus law. So it's state law that does create when certain affordability requirements are met, a project is able to utilize what they call concessions or waivers. And that the purpose in the state law is to increase the financial feasibility for projects that are providing affordable units.
Thank you.
All right. No further questions of staff. Would the applicant like to make a presentation?
And members of the committee, I'm Paul Davis, and Levi stole my show. So right now I can I can answer any questions. Mr. Slama is here as well. But we've been working for about 9 months on this project with staff, and here we are.
I was going to ask about there seems to be a lack of diversity in the unit type. Generally, it seems that developers like to have some diversity, cities like to have some of that diversity. I understand it. I've been pushing for talking to people that we need more like this. So this is good in general, but I also generally see some diversity to create some diversity of the community feel in that building and things like that. And I just wanted to see if there was a comment on that.
Brad Salama, thank you. So diversity is a difficult thing to attain when we're building, when we're redoing existing buildings. When we can use sites when we're building from the ground up, it's plausible. What we've noticed is actually that when we did the 50 studios downtown in Salinas and Rob Womack building, when we converted that, people actually like that people of their like-mindedness, either size, scope, whatever. Studios not mixing with 3 bedrooms, families, and kids, singles, retirees, young people prefer actually to live with similar-minded sizes. So that's why we've done this project this way. Financial feasibility is another thing. I think what we really focus on is making sure that the corridor has enough diversity to mix. And so what we have is the first project in 2300 is mostly 1 bedrooms. The next project at this one will be studios. The one on 2600 is now going to be 4 bedroom, 3 bath townhomes. And then at 2000 Garden Court, we have 2 bedrooms. So not necessarily mixing on site, I think is that important to have, studios 1s, 2s, and 3s at a particular location. At least the way that Garden Road lays out, I'm not sure that it's, a detriment to not have a mixture of unit type at a specific facility.
Thank you. And related to that with the sort of shared space, I don't remember noticing any shared space in the building itself. And as kind of discussed earlier, there was a waiver for the exterior shared space as well.
So that's the give and take, the rub. Do you want more units, or do you want to give up units and make some kind of a community space inside the building? The answer I always get is make more units, make it feasible, and get it going. This is a project that was obviously, everything's developed on the site. We just don't have any space for open space. And so what we did is we put in the balcony so that everybody would have their private usable open space. And if there was, more land like 2300 where we have pockets for open space, we would do it. We just don't have the place, and nobody wants to give up parking to create a little park or something. So that's kind of the pull. Luckily on the peninsula, we can bike and go to great, amazing open spaces pretty quickly. Okay.
Can you walk me through the water situation on this
difficult.
project?
Yeah. So
And
we wouldn't normally do this if we didn't think there was a light at the end of the tunnel. But there seems to be water freeing up for projects like this really soon. So we're expecting that mid-go of construction that we'll actually get the release of that water and be able to do it all at once and finish it all at once. But structurally right now, because we don't have the water given to us yet, we have to proceed in this route. And there's always the possibility that we won't. And so we would have 43 completed units in a waiting, 27 more until the water was available.
You'd have tons of common space.
Financial feasibility is an important part of this concept for sure.
Just so I understand that, are those units just foreseeing a worst case scenario where the water thing blows up?
Yep.
And you've got an albatross on your hands of 40 completed units and 70 units that you don't have water for.
Correct.
What does that building look like? Is it like one whole level that's built out? Is it one whole wing that's built out?
It's wings and levels, and it barely pencils. So it would be very tough for me. But this is what it takes to make progress in this area. So we'll do it.
Okay. But sorry, there's not like an easy breaking point.
Yeah, it'll most likely be the third floor. So
Third
it's
floor.
28 on the second floor, 14 on the first floor. We'll probably do 42 and hold off on the third floor.
Hold off on the third floor.
Yeah.
Great.
We'll prep all of our stuff that we need to step up through it, but yeah.
Okay.
But keep your fingers crossed for
Yeah.
water being
No,
ready.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
We've all got work out there that needs to get built.
Yeah.
It's being held up by water. Is there any more questions of the applicant? Okay, should we go ahead and move into discussion? Oh, public comment. Sorry about that. Oh, here we go.
Evan Dayton, Government Affairs Liaison, Monterey Peninsula Chamber of Commerce. We've been watching these Garden Road projects for several years now. Good to see them moving, although very slowly in a frustrating, slow way. I will note here the Regional Housing Need Allocation Progress Report. So far, you've got 1% units so far permitted, and I actually think these apartments may have been in the last cycle that were approved at the time. So you've got a long way to go, and I hope that you vote unanimously for this. And it's great to see. I expected there would be people here saying, I don't want any more housing in my community or in my neighborhood, and they are not here today. So please keep this up. I know you say, well, this isn't perfect. I wish there was more variety in the units, and you're starting here pretty much from zero. So, anything is good. Look forward in the future to the day that you can do diversity of units. As far as the water is concerned, for 35 years, there's been proposals out there for more water. I'm hoping it's going to happen and the cease and desist order will be lifted. I think there are ways to speed it up. Go and talk to your friends on the city council. What's going on with that El Estero water, project, things like that. I'm waiting every day to see all these possible projects, and our local governments here are taking it seriously. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see any other commenters in the room. Is there any commenters online?
There are no attendees online with their hands raised.
All righty. So we'll go ahead and close public comment and open it up for discussion.
Like some of the other projects that were mentioned out there on Garden Road, Garden Court, I think this is a good use of the space that's out there, and pending availability of water, I think it's a great idea moving forward.
Yeah, and I agree with Mr. Dayton. I think one of the reasons we don't get those not in my backyard comments is it's because it's not in our backyard. It's a underused warehouse,
There's no
industrial area. I like to go running. There's a trail there, so it's always empty, and it's such a waste of space. So just really appreciative of the projects that have come forward to make that a lively district that people could easily bike down to the coast. And I'm in support of this project and really excited to see 70 more units come on board.
Echo similarly. I mean, I think we need more of these, especially these kind of even more micro units, I think would be welcome in different ways. As I alluded to, I do think, you know, something with a variety of spaces is actually preferable, and some common areas makes for better community. But as noted, we're desperately in need of more housing like this. This is an appropriate location. Reuse of buildings is wonderful for the environment and for all sorts of reasons. Hopefully it makes it more affordable to do as well. Not always the case, as we know. I'm hoping and assuming that, you know, some of these areas with the new trees, maybe even the residents will just take them over and make their own spaces that can be more of common areas. And as we get more of this in general, hopefully there will be opportunities. You know, you might have a few corner penthouse units and things like that, and that would, at least other projects I've worked on in the past, those more market rate ones kind of pay for some of the affordable units in the building and add to that diversity. But again, there's nothing in my mind that's holding up this project. Those are kind of general comments for hopefully the future.
Yeah, I think it's, sorry, I'm just getting to the site plan here. I think it's actually a pretty neat project, and I've always been, as office buildings go, I've been sort of fond of that one. It's got sort of some unique spaces in there with some tall vaulted ceilings and some clear stories. And I remember when I went to my last appointment there, when it was still functioning, thinking that this would be a cool housing project. So it's cool to see. I got two like really, one sort of nitpicky comment, and then one I think that's tying into some of Pian's comments. Looking at the materials, Paul, I really like the muted color palette that you picked. I think it's going to look, that's really has sort of a forested vibe over there, and I think it's nice. I think the white vinyl windows are going to pop out on that elevation pretty severely. I know the vinyl window manufacturers do offer very minor variations in their palette, but if you could go with something that might blend with that cool color palette you've got going on, I think it would sort of help those elevations, because I don't think that the white vinyl is really showing in the elevations, and I think in real life it's really gonna it's gonna pop out. And I guess this other comment, that's a nitpicky one. This other comment sort of goes back to obviously you've got the concession for SB 35, and those are there for a reason. I'm sort of surprised they give the site open space as an available concession, because it seems like that is a tough one to give up. And as I look at the site plan, you know, Brad and Paul, Brad, do you control all you can just nod because I don't want to open it back up do you control all three of these buildings, or just this one? Okay, you don't control all three. Okay.
Commercial uses on the other two.
Okay. All right. I was sort of hoping that you'd controlled all three and you'd be able to look at this site holistically and potentially create some open space there. Yeah. Anything, and I get the parking is always a balance. Sounds like you got about 73 people coming in here, 116 parking spaces. That's probably less than people would want, but like anything you can do with the small spaces you have. And I know that like a good landscape designer, even a good architectural designer, can do something special with a small space. And even looking at your site plan, there's a couple of residual spaces. Anything you can do in those spaces to sort of get people a reprieve from the indoors. And obviously there are trails and there are access to public spaces, but you guys have a lot on your plate getting this project off the ground. But at some point, if you can look at those smaller spaces and see if there's anything you could do to make them more amenable to the inhabitants, I think it would benefit the project, and probably wouldn't cost much because there's not a lot of grading involved there, but would be something to think about. But again, all in all, I think it's going to be nice to see all that housing provided in one foul swoop. So kudos to you guys for making it pencil out and getting the design together.
Agreed. The reason, don't want to speak for you, the reason I feel like kind of bringing some of these topics up is that I think what we're concerned with is what's really nice when it happens is a good project like this comes up and everybody goes, I want that.
Yeah.
And the more we kind of remove amenities, do different things that make it starts to feel like affordable housing that people think about, as opposed to something that's a real amenity to the whole city. And so that's the only reason we hope it's incredibly successful and everybody says, do more of that, please. If it's missing some of this community feel, missing some of the site amenities and things like that, I would just be a little worried that it might not be as successful in that way. And that we might next time get some people showing up and saying, not in my backyard. That's the only reason I think there's to bring some of those things up. We want this to continue to be an easy thing to pass and get through, and therefore make any of these types of projects to be jewels that everybody says, absolutely, let's do that again. We know that we can have affordable housing and it's going to be awesome for everybody. So that's the only reason, again, not gonna hold this up for anything like that, but I think it's worth us discussing and mentioning.
View it as an opportunity as you move forward.
Thank you.
Well, I move that we approve architectural review permit ARP -24-0211 and ART -24-0261 for 60 Garden Court, as outlined in the staff proposal.
Second.
Just want to add to that with conditions of approval.
Well, with the conditions of correct.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
And that is appealable to the planning commission with forms available online and in the planning office within 10 days.
All right. Well, I believe that concludes our public appearances. Do we have any additional staff reports or informational reports?
Just briefly, as noted in the agenda packet, we do have a couple items that are tentatively scheduled for our next meeting, June 18th. Of course, it's the one item that was continued this evening at 2 Upper Ragsdale, and then also a new item at 3 Cielo Vista Drive. And then also noted in the planning update is 4 administrative architectural review permits were issued since May 15th. That's it.
All right.
And how many commissioners do we have to have in order to have a quorum? I'm going to be out of the country.
We need 4.
So
But thank you for letting us know. We'll document that you will not be present for the 18th ARC meeting, and then we'll make sure we do a quorum check leading meeting. So thank you for letting us know.
All righty. With that said, we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting.